What up, everybody? It's me again, Sanitary 103 here. I'm about to show you my current leg and tricep routine. So the first exercise you see here are dumbbell lunges. I'm using 55-pound dumbbells. And I normally start off my leg routine with squats, but the squat rack was taken. So you gotta do what you gotta do. So I pretty much just go across the room all the way, and I'll do 3 sets of this exercise. And here's the second set that I recorded. Now, technique-wise, you want to make sure that when you're bending that you bend fairly low, and you'll definitely feel the burn in your quads. Your back leg is going to be a little bit bent, and that's okay. You're going to use that as your momentum. And you noticed my posture is fairly straight, my back is erect, and I'm not swaying back and forth. And moving right along to good old squats. I do 4 sets, the first set being a warm-up set, which you see right here. I gradually increase the weight a good 10 or 15 pounds per set, and I try to get between about a minimum of 6 to 8 reps, although on this first warm-up set I could usually get about close to 10 reps. Off to set number 2, this is 155 pounds. I increased the weight 20 pounds in relation to the first set. And regarding squats, on the negative on the way down, you want to make sure you go deep. As they say, you want to go parallel, aka ass to grass, ATG. Now, if you're doing these half inchers that I see a lot of guys doing, you're putting up way too much weight and you're not getting a good enough workout. So leave your ego out the door. Have a reasonable weight in which you can at least get 6 to 8 reps parallel ass to grass. If you're unable to, that means the weight is too heavy. Off to set number 3, this is 165 pounds, another 10-pound increase from the previous set. One thing I noticed when recording is that if you look down at my feet, you'll notice that my left leg is slightly more in front of my right leg. This wasn't on purpose, this wasn't by design, it's simply a bad habit that I've corrected since recording. It's not a big deal because I'm still going deep, I'm still going parallel, but the moral of the story is to make sure you do not have a staggered stance. Fourth and final set, 185 pounds, another 20-pound increase from the previous set. One last thing I wanted to mention about free weight squats is that you definitely want to go parallel, you want to go deep, you don't want to cheat. However, when you're trying to get that last repetition in, you might hit the point of no return in which you're not sure if you can rep that certain weight for the last repetition. If that's the case, then it's better to be safe and to cheat a little bit than to risk injury, especially if you don't have a spotter. So just keep that in mind. Off to the next exercise. This is leg slash hamstring curls. And I usually do a minimum of 5 sets, but that can actually vary depending on how I feel. The main thing that I do is that on the first set, I start with a moderate weight, 6 to 8 repetitions, and then I gradually increase the weight. Upon doing that, then I lower the weight accordingly. Set number 2, I increase the weight another 15 pounds, another 6 to 8 repetitions. Sorry for it being a little bit blurry on this one. But technique-wise, if you notice, you want to get a good squeeze on the way up and you want to hold the position. You'll definitely feel a nice burn right there. And here is one of the drop sets that I recorded. Once again, another 6 to 8 repetitions. By this time, my hamstrings are on fire. And depending how I feel, sometimes I'll even increase the weight after I drop set to get a couple more extra sets in. And what you see here are seated calf raises. I do a minimum of about 5 to 6 sets. Start off with a pretty moderate weight and then gradually increase the weight by 20-pound increments. So right here, it's about 130 pounds, and then I usually go up to 150, 170, 190, and above 200, and then I drop set. Off to set number 2, this is 150 pounds, another 20-pound increase. And regarding technique, you want to be cognizant of when you bend the knees and lock them out, you do want to make sure you stop and pause to get a really good squeeze on your calves. Also, regarding the amount of sets on this exercise, it is quite a lot, but once again, you are only using your calf muscles, so you definitely can afford to do that. Here's the third set that I recorded, 170 pounds, another 20-pound increase. And real quick regarding my calves, I measured them, every 3 months or so. And since I started this leg routine, they've actually grown in diameter over 1 inch, along with my quads. Obviously, I'm still very skinny. There's a lot more work to do because I'm genetically pretty skinny, but I've actually made some really good progress. Moving right along to leg extensions, I do 6 to 8 reps once again, minimum. This is a warm-up set at 130 pounds, and then I'll gradually increase the weight by 15-pound increments on this machine. Here is set number 2. This is 145 pounds, a 15-pound increase. After this set, I will go up another 15 pounds to 160, and then to 175, and even to 190. After that, I'll drop set back down for a few sets depending how I feel. Here's the last set that I recorded at 175 pounds. If you notice, I'm kind of leaning forward. I'm using that as momentum to get the weight up. It's not compromising the burn in my legs too much. You just want to make sure that you squeeze hard. Off to the final leg exercise. This is leg press. I'll do 4 sets. First set being a very light warm-up, which you see right here, and with each set I will increase the weight accordingly all the way till my last set. I don't do drop sets on this exercise in particular because by this time I'm very worn out. It's a very intense exercise and I'm just trying to pump through it so I can get to my triceps. Here's the second set that I recorded. I added one more plate on each side. And real quick regarding warming up, I think it's very critical that you use a pretty moderate weight on the first set to get your legs warmed up so you don't run the risk of injury. In addition to, I didn't get it on camera, but in between these exercises and sets, I actually stretch my legs out because sometimes my inner thigh gets a little bit sore, so you want to definitely stay pretty limber for this exercise. Here's the fourth and final set that I recorded. I added 3 plates on each side, along with a 35 on each side, and also 2.5 for the heck of it, for a total of 345 pounds. And regarding the rep range, once again, I always try to get 6 to 8 repetitions. At this particular moment, I think I get about 5 reps. As you can see, I'm struggling a little bit. It's at the end of the workout. I'm pretty worn out, but I'm definitely trying to drive forward and get that last repetition in right there. Now that legs are finally done, I'm moving to tricep pull downs. I usually do a minimum of 4 sets. I'll start off with a very lightweight, and then I'll gradually increase the weight to 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, and then I'll typically drop set for 1 or 2 sets. And here's the last exercise that I perform for triceps. These are skull crushers. I'll do 3 sets, start off with a moderate weight, and then gradually increase the weight by 10-pound increments on the second and third set. Now with triceps, skull crushers and extensions are the only exercises that I perform. The reason being is that your triceps are often incorporated with a lot of exercises that you do even on the days when you think you're not working your triceps, such as bench press to a certain extent if it's a more narrow grip, even when you do dips as well as push-ups. For that reason, these are the only 2 exercises that I perform for triceps. Here is set number 2, another 10-pound increase. And regarding technique, you can't see my feet, but you definitely want to keep them firm and planted to the floor. You want to have a controlled movement when you're performing this exercise and be very careful. And the other thing that you want to be aware of is you want to keep your elbows fairly in. Now, my right elbow sometimes bows out a little bit, so try not to fall in that habit. Third and final set, another 10-pound increase. One last thing I wanted to mention about my technique is that when you bend the bar, such as right there, you want to make sure it goes right behind your skull. But if you'll notice on the way up, the bar does not go quite as far up. Now, some guys bring it all the way up closer to their nipple line, but the reason I don't is by doing this, you put constant pressure and stress on the tricep, which you want for a better workout.